Greetings, adventurers. You're listening to The Quiet Journeys of Professor Atwood with me, Professor Atwood. I'm glad you're here, and I can't wait to tell you about my latest journey. Don't worry, it's a safe space. I'll handle all the danger for you. I designed these stories to help you relax, chill anxiety, and go to sleep. Maybe they'll even put a smile on your face, even if it's a sleepy smile. So please, settle in, relax, and prepare to quietly drift off with me to parts known, unknown, and even some places in between. Comfortable? Very well. Let's get underway. Good evening, adventurers. I hope you're doing well. I also hope you're all cozy and settled in because tonight I'm going to tell you all about Professor P's science challenges. Number 1, of course, having to make a lava lamp, and science challenge number 2, which caught me a little off guard. Combine that with an unexpectedly mysterious lunch, and it ended up being quite a day in the Infinite Science Cabal's secret fake volcanic island lair. As you remember, I was given a break by my ex-wife Julia, who was able to curate one of the challenges. So, science challenge number 1 was to create a lava lamp, something I could do in my sleep, to be honest. But the flip side of that easy first challenge was that I could not count on her help anymore for the challenges after that. I would be on my own. But that was okay. I was up for any challenge Professor P was going to throw at me. Or so I thought. Anyway, to recap, if I was able to defeat Professor P's 3 science challenges, he said he would disclose the whereabouts of Professor Sampson, my old mentor. As I said before, when I first learned of Professor Sampson's sudden and mysterious disappearance, I did try to find him, but I had no luck and eventually had to give up the search. But again, I never lost hope. I wasn't the only one hoping I would find Professor Sampson either. Professor Cook from the Getty was romantically involved with him a while back and also searched for him when he disappeared. She also hoped I could find him, and I assured her I would do my best. Anyway, I was able to locate Professor P's not-so-hidden volcanic lair, and after a little trial and error, I found a way in. I launched my aeropod and went up and over, and then into the volcano, where I found a landing platform. I landed and secured my aeropod, and then made my way deeper into the pretend volcano. I found Professor P sitting on a throne he made for himself, but nothing could have prepared me for who walked in and sat next to him. Yes, my ex-wife, Julia, was there with him, and she then regaled me with the tale of how they met and eventually found a connection through the study of neuromorphic engineering. Now, I was still skeptical, as this was all a bit much. After spending the evening catching up with Julia and having a nice dinner, the next morning began with the science challenges, where I was presented with the first one, to make a lava lamp. But before I tell you about the first and much more difficult and a bit suspicious second challenge, I want to tell you about a few things, especially for our new listeners. You see, there are 2 types of shows in the podcast high-speed show feed. There are the regular episodes, such as what you're listening to right now, and Professor Atwood's Sleepscapes to give you more adventures per month. The Sleepscapes are pulled directly from my adventures with all the music and sounds we collect on our journeys. We then remix and remaster them and make them longer, so you can create your own adventure in your mind as you settle in and drift off to sleep. And as always, don't forget to rate and review the show and maybe post about the show, as that is how other adventurers find us. And if you want more info, or if you want to purchase officially licensed merchandise, including t-shirts and cuddly blankets, you can go to whitecatentertainment.com. There are also donation and some ad-free Patreon subscription options, and they also get you a little more White Cat Entertainment content every month as well. Any and all support helps, and we thank you for it. All right, let's get back to the story. I would need to begin my lava lamp engineering and construction, and Professor P allowed me the use of the Infinite Science Cabal's Evil Science Lab, which was understocked and disorganized, to say the least. But I think that was the point. Even a simple challenge would be made harder by a lack of lab oversight and maintenance and, frankly, cleanliness. Now, due to Scienceville and Science Challenge rules, I was required to be given a full 24 hours for each challenge correlating to the number of the challenge. So 1 day for challenge 1, 2 days for 2, and 3 days for challenge number 3. They would get progressively more difficult, I was sure. Now, like I said, I wasn't too worried about the first one. It was the next two that I was concerned with, as I still had no clue as to what they would be. I would probably need to access my mobile lab on the O2, but I wasn't sure if Professor P would allow that or not. Still, a few too many unknown variables here. But like I said before, I needed to take one challenge and one mystery here at a time. As I arranged my thoughts, and also the lab's graduated cylinders, I thought about the history of the lava lamp. Now, British entrepreneur Edward Craven Walker had the idea of the lava lamp in 1963 after watching a homemade egg timer made from a cocktail shaker filled with liquids as it bubbled on a stovetop in a pub. This precursor to the lava lamp was designed and patented by Donald Dunnett. Craven Walker hired British inventor David George Smith to develop the device and the chemical formula it required. Now, Smith is credited as the inventor on the original U.S. patent for a display device filed and assigned to Craven Walker's company in 1965 and subsequently issued in 1968. Craven Walker's company, Crestworth, was based in Poole, Dorset, United Kingdom. He named the lamp Astro and had variations such as the Astro Mini and the Astro Coach lantern. In 1965, Adolf Wertheimer and High Spectre were intrigued by Walker's product when they saw it at a German trade show. They bought the American rights and began the Lava Manufacturing Corporation in Chicago to sell what they called the Lava Light lamp. In the late 1970s, U.S. rights were sold to Larry Haggerty, who created a subsidiary of his company, Haggerty Enterprises, called Lava World International, which produced American lava lamps for over 30 years. In 2003, American lava lamp maker Lava World International moved its production to China. In 2008, it was acquired by Talon Merchant Capital, and its name was changed to Lava Light LLC. As of 2016, lava lamps were being sold under lifestyle brands in North America. In 2018, the lava lamp brand was acquired by toy and gift maker Schilling Inc. of North Andover, who continue to hold the U.S. trademark rights to both the shape and name of lava lamp. When the American rights were sold, Craven Walker retained the rights for the rest of the world and took on two business partners in the late 1980s, Cressida Granger and David Mully. They eventually took over the company and changed its name to Mathmos in 1992. Edward Craven Walker remained a consultant to them until his death in 2000. Mathmos continues to make lava lamps and related products. They have won 2 Queen's Awards for export and the Best Multimedia Prize at the Design Week Awards. Astro Lava Lamp was launched in 1963 and celebrated its 50th anniversary in 2013. Mathmos lava lamps are still made in the original factory in Poole, Dorset. Now, it was an interesting history, to be sure, but now it was time to put things in motion and get my own lava lamp designed and built. I would need a heated base, simple enough. But here's the thing. Even though it was a lava lamp, Professor P would not accept it if there wasn't a, well, how can I put this? a Professor Atwood flourish on it. So I had to bend the design rules a bit to give it that extra special something. I had to think about it for a minute. It's then that I noticed an old aquarium tank in the corner. I would need a larger heating element, and of course, the mineral oil, paraffin wax, and carbon tetrachloride would not be a problem. I would go old school for the lava, for sure. Now, I remembered Professor P had a model building hobby, even though it was for things you don't really see many models for, like nuclear reactors, shipwrecks, and collection agency call centers. I had an idea, and I would make sure I would win this first challenge. My ex-wife had made it easier, of course, but I still had to bring it home. I would need my first customized unbreakable umbrella, number 2, of course, the heating one. It had powerful heating coils, and I would need them for the tank. I would also need to reinforce the acrylic walls a bit. Now, I had a cursory look at Professor P's fake volcano island attraction and how it worked, and the one thing that was interesting about it was that it collected and reused its lava. I mean, like I said before, it's not because Professor P's love for the environment, but because it was just, cheaper to recycle the fake lava and use it over and over again. I got to work, and it turns out Professor P's model hobby room was just off the Infinite Science Cabal's run-down and neglected lab, so I was able to access both quite easily. I started by grabbing the old aquarium tank in the corner. Now, I was obviously not going to put together an aquarium. Well, not quite, at least. But then I got to thinking, I wonder if I had time to really level up this challenge. I would have to be wary of the time constraints, but I started to think I may be able to pull off some kind of completely new level of lava lamp. Time would tell. I couldn't fall into the trap of trying to be too ambitious and running out of time. It was always a balancing act, being creative and ambitious when you're running out of time. I remember that exact problem when we were being chased by a supposedly extinct woolly mammoth through some millennia-old glacial caves. The first option was that we could just use the icy floor of the caves to slide out to safety before the thundering mammoth caught up to us. Or the second option, where we could try to trick the mammoth into chasing its reflection in the ice with an intricate set of well-placed mirrors. Now, we ended up just sliding to safety, even the scholar, and I'll be honest, it turned out to be more fun than I anticipated, but that's a story for another time. Anyway, like I said, I got to work. I immediately, albeit a bit reluctantly, dismantled custom umbrella number 2 to remove the potent heating coils. I then found some extra acrylic, a glue gun, and the mineral oil, paraffin wax, and carbon tetrachloride. I would have to multitask and make the lava part of the lava lamp while the glue and clear acrylic walls dried. And yes, while the carbon tetrachloride toxicity level was a little high for a consumer product, I knew it wouldn't bother a science villain, and in fact, he would probably appreciate it even more. I then entered Professor P's model room and was surprised at how difficult it was to find what I needed. I was just looking for resin rocks and a few palm trees, or maybe even some resin or heat-resistant ceramic. Wow. But most of his miniatures were also of things no one would ever want in a model, like miniature half-drunk bottles of Tab. I mean, it was a whole shelf. Miniature barbed wire cattle fences, and miniature corrupt insurance claim adjusters. Very odd. Anyway, I finally found the rocks, trees, and some malleable clay that I could speed harden. Apparently, Professor P was using it to make tiny slumlords and tech industry job recruiters. It was also a bit unusual and a little off-putting. I worked diligently for hours under the watchful eye of a minion. After about half a day of work, it started to come together. Julia checked in on me and said while the evil fake volcanic layer chef Chet had taken the day off, he did prepare lunch for me in advance. She handed me a paper bag with a warm smile. Well, I supposed it was indeed time for a break. I sat down at a table and unpacked my lunch. There was a water bottle inside, wrapped in aluminum foil to keep it cold. An old trick that no one really uses anymore. And this drink wasn't coming from very far, and a chef should know that. Interesting. I gave the wrapped drink a cursory examination and instinctively looked around to see if I was still being watched. I mean, I always was, but the minion assigned to watch me had just had his own lunch delivered and was digging into it with gusto, ignoring me. He was enjoying a very large cheeseburger. However, when he seemed to get about halfway through, he suddenly looked quite sleepy. Even more interesting, he soon nodded off and was then clearly incapable of watching me at that point. I opened the rest of my lunch and was pleased to see a wrapped turkey and cheese hoagie along with chips and some freshly made chocolate chip cookies. But I wondered if my lunch was drugged as well, but most likely not, as my ex-wife handed it to me personally. I unwrapped everything, and that's when I saw the note. It was concealed in the foil wrapped around the water bottle. It was simple and read, "Be wary, Professor. Things are not as they seem, but you are not alone." Now, what surprised me the most was not the contents of the note, but who it was from. It wasn't from Julia, my ex-wife. It was from Chet, the evil layer chef. Things were getting more and more mysterious here by the minute. But as I said before, one challenge or mystery at a time. And I had to finish this first science challenge, or else the next challenges or mysteries wouldn't matter, and I would be going home early and empty-handed. I had no intention of letting that happen. I ate the lunch, and it was surprisingly delicious, with a honey Dijon mustard on the turkey and cheese sandwich and peanut butter chips scattered strategically inside the chocolate chip cookies. Even the chips were barbecue kettle chips, so nothing was left to chance. Clearly, this mysterious chef knew something about me and my palate. After I finished, it was time to get back to work. Things were starting to dry, and I'd started putting things together. I found enough resin scraps to build a miniature volcano, and I was able to add some surrounding foliage made from resin and ceramic, and when it was all put together, it looked quite nice. I found some heat-resistant piping and began customizing a few old aquarium pumps lying around. So you're probably wondering yet again, now, was I making an aquarium or a lava lamp? And the answer was, of course, yes. As with lava lamps, I thought about the history of aquariums as I put everything together. Now, you see, an aquarium is a vivarium of any size, having at least one transparent side in which aquatic plants or animals are kept and displayed. Fish keepers use aquaria to keep fish, invertebrates, amphibians, aquatic reptiles, and aquatic plants. The term aquarium, coined by English naturalist Philip Henry Goss, combines the Latin root aqua, meaning water, with the suffix arium, meaning a place for relating to. The aquarium principle was fully developed in 1850 by the chemist Robert Warrington, who explained that plants added to water in a container would give off enough oxygen to support animals, so long as the number of animals did not grow too large. The aquarium craze was launched in early Victorian England by Goss, who created and stocked the first public aquarium at the London Zoo in 1853 and published the first manual, The Aquarium, an unveiling of the wonders of the deep sea, in 1854. Small aquariums are kept in the home by hobbyists, and of course there are large public aquariums in many cities. Public aquariums keep fish and other aquatic animals in large tanks for the public to view and may feature otters, dolphins, sharks, penguins, seals, and whales. Many aquarium tanks also have aquatic plants to complete the environment. An aquarist, yes, that's a real word, owns fish or maintains an aquarium, typically constructed of glass or high-strength acrylic. Aquaria with flat walls are known as fish tanks or simply tanks, while those with rounded walls are known as fish bowls. Size can range from a small glass bowl, a few liters in volume, to immense public aquaria of thousands of liters. Specialized equipment maintains appropriate water quality and other characteristics suitable for the aquarium's residents. Anyway, after a few hours of work on the aquarium/lava lamp, I began testing everything. The heating coils from my custom Umbrella 2 were working quite well and heating up the lava in the lava lamp. The lava rose out of the volcano and was then collected at the bottom of the tank again as it cooled. I had created a large aquarium-sized lava lamp that was a recreation of Professor P's fake volcanic island lair. But I wasn't done yet. I had to add a little more flair to the whole thing. The extra acrylic panels were in place, and I attached one of the aquarium filters. I created a chamber for actual fish to swim in the aquarium that was separate from the lava lamp part of it to keep them safe from the miniature fake lava erupting out of the miniature fake volcano, which of course represented the real fake lava on the real fake volcano on Professor P's island. I was then ready to present my results to Professor P. By this time, the sleeping minion had woken up, groggy and disoriented. I had him carry everything for me. I missed Bradley, and things would have gone a lot quicker with him here, but I was happy I kept him away from Professor P and his fake volcanic lair, and away from the hidden danger that I had yet to discover, but knew was there. Now, I'm sure his girlfriend Dolores would have been a big help here as well, but they were on a well-deserved vacation, and I didn't want to interrupt that either. But I just had a feeling everything was not as it seemed. Plus, the note from Evil Lair Chef Chet also put me on high alert as well. Anyway, it was time. I returned with the minion and my completed lava lamp to the so-called main control throne room, or whatever Professor P was calling it now. I didn't even check to see if he had changed the sign on the door. Anyway, he was there, sitting on his makeshift throne with my ex-wife, Julia, sitting next to him, smiling gently at me. She was smiling gently at him, too, which I have to say would take me some time to get used to, if that was even possible. I was skeptical that it was, but I don't want to be petty. Anyway, I had the minion set my large custom aquarium lava lamp hybrid down on a raised podium and had him plug it in. In the end, I created 2 separate chambers inside the aquarium. One was for the lava lamp section, and the other one was for the fish, which could swim around in one side of the aquarium with the lava lamp on the other. There were some overlapping sections to create the illusion that the fish were swimming in front or behind the volcano, but they were in a self-contained tank as to not expose them to the toxic lava or the extra heat. Turns out some of the minions did indeed keep fish tanks. That's why there were various tanks and filter parts in the lab, which made it even more cluttered, but it turned out to be useful. Anyway, I had the minions interested in my project, and they donated a couple of fish from their own aquariums. So I even had live fish swimming around the aquarium as the lava lamp heated up the lava mixture to emerge out of the top of the underwater volcano. It then slowly sank back down to be collected into a simple intake system and then heated up again. I had created a miniature of his secret infinite science cabal fake volcanic island with lava eruptions and completed it with swimming fish. I slowly explained the ins and outs of my lava lamp aquarium hybrid, perhaps a bit condescendingly, but I couldn't help it, and awaited Professor P's response. For a few minutes there was absolute silence. He was studying the lava lamp aquarium hybrid without expression. I could see it in his eyes, though, just for a brief moment, that he was quite impressed. However, he quickly hid it. He told me my lava lamp was sufficient and that I had passed the first science challenge. He then instructed a minion to immediately bring the lava lamp/aquarium to his bedchamber, set it up on a platform, and to make sure it was lit well with LED light strips. Professor P then took a deep breath, smiled menacingly at me, and asked if I was ready for the next challenge. I said I was. Professor P said very well, looked me in the eye, and there was something there I did not like for a moment, but then his gaze softened as he looked at Julia. They held hands, which made me clench mine, and Professor P continued. He said he and Julia were discussing minion safety and thought it was important to have a personal minion transport system, but they could never get the motorization and balance right, and the minions kept getting injured. A personal transport system would increase their efficiency around the island. Also, they would need to be able to not only go 360 degrees, but they would also need to hover for at least 10 feet for cleaning purposes for the various lair rooms with higher ceilings. Now, Professor P knew assistant safety was important to me, so he was playing on my concerns. Minions, I have to say, were more than a few steps below lab assistants, but they still deserved safety and functional equipment as well, even if they were being used to further their evil science villain boss's nefarious plans. Professor P then added that he knew it was quite a challenge, being I was going up against things like physics, gravity, and a power source issue. He then said in a tone that I did not like, that if I thought it was not scientifically possible, then maybe I should just give up now. Oh, he was really laying it on thick. The problem was, it was working. He was pushing my buttons, and without thinking, I said of course I would accept Science Challenge number 2. He said due to official Science Challenge protocols, I was to be given more time on this one. I had 2 days. I bit my tongue. This would be an enormous challenge, even for me. And I will tell you all about Science Challenge number 2 next time. But before I end this evening's story, I want to talk to you about something. And honestly, I'll leave allowing someone to push your buttons, like I just did, for another time. Pushing your buttons and getting your goat are 2 different things, but they are related. You should always protect your goats and your buttons. But no, tonight I want to talk to you not about goats and buttons, but of going above and beyond what's required of you. Now, interestingly, this can have some negative connotations at school or at work, like being called teacher's pet, the boss's favorite, etc., etc. But those comments, and the people who offer them, are missing the point. Going above and beyond is not necessarily about impressing or pleasing the person the initial request was for. It's really about, stay with me here, surprising yourself with what you're capable of. That's right. You're really doing it for yourself. You already know you can do the task, but what more are you capable of? How far can you go? Impress yourself first. And there's an inherent satisfaction of what you'll have accomplished, both above and beyond what has been asked of you. So when you go above and beyond on something, know in your heart that you're capable of even more. So keep going above. Keep going beyond. You never know where it may take you. There are some amazing things just above and just beyond where you are now. Keep going. Good night, adventurers.
The Quiet Journeys of Professor Atwood was created, written, and performed by Chris Mancini and produced by White Cat Entertainment. It is a work of fiction. Maybe. Music and sound design by Ron Tansky at rontanskymusic.com. For more info and merchandise, including t-shirts, mugs, and blankets, go to whitecatentertainment.com.